Silent deception, oppression, and inducement by fraud. The word oppression, as a noun, shall be defined as the prolonged cruel or unjust treatment or control. Also, a state of mental pressure imposed upon an accused victim by a state agent without proper causality, validity, and/or authority, which causes despair, distress, and ultimately disaster. History is not written by those who choose to sit silently, unconcerned with the present-day issues that affects the ordinary populace. History is written by those who choose to affect the state of condition that creates the positive change to an environment. The negative oppressor is not immortal, nor is the terror from their negative oppression eternal. The myth of the oppressor's deceptive invincibility has been shattered, not just broken, by truth with clarity. Truth is sovereign, and sovereignty is the free will exercise of the truth, which leads to freedom. For without the truth, the sovereignty of the sovereigns shall be usurped by foreign corporations' colonizing interest, amounting to slavery. Now, here is a brief history of the name Nantucket. Nantucket County is named for the town of Nantucket, which name is derived from a Wampanoag word meaning place of peace. The Wampanoag is a member of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy of American Indian people group of southeastern Massachusetts who spoke the extinct Algonquian language Massachusett. The Great Law of Peace. The Great Law of Peace, WA, was the oral constitution of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Iroquois Confederacy, now written, was brought about by Onondaga, the great peacemaker, and his spokesman Hiawatha to end intertribal warfare and establish a system of unity, peace, and governance. It established a complex system of government for the 5 original nations, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, and was recorded on wampum belts, which serve as mnemonic devices for storytelling and outlining agreements, contracts, and considered a potential precursor to the U.S. Constitution. The Great Law outlines 117 articles defining rights and responsibilities, empowering clan mothers, and establishing checks and balances between nations. It also emphasizes principles like unity, diversity, consensus, freedom, and providing a foundation for a lasting peace. Rights of foreign nations, outside the original 5. 3. The smoke of the Confederate Council fire shall ever ascend and pierce the sky so that other nations who may be allies may see the council fire of the great peace. 73. The soil of the earth from one end of the land to the other is the property of the people who inhabit it. By birthright, the unwehung, original beings, are the owners of the soil which they own and occupy, and none other may hold it. The same law has been held from the oldest times. Now each member of the Ahuac Indian Nation, as West Indians, or Amerindians, or Onondaga, meaning original beings, are unrecognized, unregistered, unassimilated members of said Haudenosaunee Confederacy, by way of their mere adoption of the Great Law of Peace. The word American. American as an adjective, relating to or characteristic of the corporate United States or its citizens, or the inhabitants of such a man-made construct. Hence, the phrase, the election of a new American president, or CEO of the American corporation, styled the United States of America. American as an adjective, relating to or denoting the 2 continents America, North and South. There is no central continent. That means the man-made Central America do not exist. Hence, the phrase, the American continent south of the Tropic of Cancer. American as a noun, a native, foreign person born within a country, or citizen, foreign person naturalized within a country, of the corporate United States, usually with adjective, a native or inhabitant of any of the countries of North or South America. The English language as it is used in the United States, American English is the official language of America. The term American Indian as a noun originally applied to the dark-skinned, copper-colored Indian groups of North and South America, especially those that are at present enslaved and colonized within the commercial area, now called the United States of America or the United States. They may also include any American whose origin lie in any of the original people group of North or South America. Additionally, as an adjective, the term relates to American Indian groups. The term American Indian has been steadily replaced, especially in official contexts, by the more recent term Native American, which applies to non-Americans of foreign descent born in America. The term Native American was first recorded in the 1950s and becoming prominent in the 1970s. The term American Indian is preferred by some as being the more accurate description. The word Indian recalling Columbus's assumption that, on reaching America's West Indies, he thought he had reached the east coast of India. The term American Indian is still widespread in general use, however, partly because it is not normally regarded as offensive by American Indians themselves. See also Native American, Amerindian, and Indian. The United States Census Bureau publishes data about American Indians and Alaska Natives, whom it defines as anyone having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, and who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. The census does not, however, enumerate Native Americans as such, noting that the latter term can encompass a broader set of people groups, e.g. Native Hawaiians, which it tabulates separately. Public Law 68-175, 43 Stat. 253, an act to authorize the Secretary of the Interior to issue certificates of citizenship to Indians, 2nd June 1924. 253. The Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, 43 Stat. 253, enacted June 2nd, 1924, was an act of the United States Congress that declared indigenous persons born within the United States are U.S. citizens. Although the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution provides that any person born in the United States is a citizen, there is an exception for persons not subject to the jurisdiction of the federal government. This language was generally taken to mean members of various tribes that were treated as separate sovereignties. They were citizens of their tribal nations. The act was proposed by U.S. Representative Homer P. Snyder, RNY, and signed into LAW by President Calvin Coolidge on June 2, 1924. It was enacted partially in recognition of the thousands of Native Americans who served in the U.S. Armed Forces during World War I. History and background. U.S. Constitution. At the time of the adoption of the U.S. Constitution under Article 1, Native Americans, who were classified as Indians not taxed, were not considered to be eligible for U.S. citizenship because they were governed by distinct tribes, which functioned in a political capacity. Native persons who were members of a tribe were specifically excluded from representation and taxation. The case of Cherokee Nation v. Georgia, 1831, according to historian Brad Tennant, established that tribal members who maintained their tribal ties and resided on tribal land would technically be considered foreigners living in the United States as wards of the federal government. The earliest recorded date of Native people becoming U.S. citizens was in 1831, when the Mississippi Choctaw became citizens after the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek of 1830 was ratified. Under Article XIV of that treaty, any Choctaw who elected not to move to Native American territory could become an American citizen when he registered, and if he stayed on designated lands for 5 years after treaty ratification. In the Dred Scott v. Sanford, 1857 decision, Chief Justice Supreme Court Roger B. Taney stated that even if a Native American gave up his tribal membership and paid taxes, the only path to citizenship was through naturalization, legislation, or provisions of a treaty. They, the Indian tribes, may without doubt, like the subjects of any foreign government, be naturalized by the authority of Congress and become citizens of a state and of the United States, and if an individual should leave his nation or tribe, and take up his abode among the white population, he would be entitled to all the rights and privileges which would belong to an emigrant from any other foreign people. After the American Civil War, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, ratified in 1870, after the 14th Amendment came into effect, repeated the exclusion, declaring all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States.
To early 1900s became a major immigrant gateway. Thousands of Europeans entered here, not Ellis Island, but according to port records, many of them walked out carrying in. Ships came into Galveston. They weren't just bringing people, they were swapping identities. Galveston, Texas, late 1800s to early 1900s, became a major immigrant gateway. Thousands of Europeans entered here, not Ellis Island, but according to port records, many of them walked out carrying indigenous surnames that didn't belong to them. Receipt number 1. Immigration logs from Galveston show entire families arriving with no prior connection to the Americas, yet within a generation, their descendants appear in censuses as Indian under the same tribal surnames once held by melanated indigenous families. Receipt number 2. Land patent transfers in Texas reveal parcels once tied to indigenous land allotments being signed over to new Indian allottees, often matching those same immigrant names. Receipt number 3, court disputes from the early 1900s document indigenous families challenging these name swaps, claiming their legal identity and land rights were stolen through fraudulent re-registration. This wasn't random paperwork confusion. It was a coordinated way to replace the people while keeping the land under native ownership on paper. By the time the story reached the history books, the faces had changed, but the names stayed. So today, when you see certain tribes, you're not looking at the descendants of the original people. You're looking at the results of an identity swap that started right here in Galveston. Hit that plus button so you can follow the case. Because next, we'll put the stolen names side by side with the originals.
Interesting, 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 interesting. Yeah, man, interesting share. Give thanks. We keep it simple. Yeah, we truly have to keep it simple. We say silent deception, oppression, and inducement by fraud. And we said the word oppression as a noun shall be defined as the prolonged, cruel, and unjust treatment and or control by the colonial oppressive state and its physical agent, which is the so-called government. Them say also a state of mental pressure imposed or forced upon an accused victim by a state agent without proper causality, validity, and or authority, which causes despair, distress, and ultimately disaster. When them accuse you wrongfully and carry you through all kind of changes in and out of them foreign courts, is a thing will take a toll on you. It take a toll on your family. It take a toll on your personal relationships, plural. You have your personal relationship with your woman. You have personal relationship with your friends. Them. Yeah, man, them situation you will shatter all of those things. And once we go through these things, you usually experience the very same thing we are talking about. Yeah, man. You know, you have to strong for maintain the family structure when the Babylonian inquisitors lean on you. You have to have knowledge. You have to, you know, truly prepare for stand your ground. Yeah, man. So we touch upon where we share a brief history on the name Nantucket. It comes from the Wampanoag Indian nation. Yeah, that group of people that were is a part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, where they have a constitution which is known as the Great Law of Peace. Now, I tell ones and ones that before these 1492 invasions and colonization by the Spanish, then the British, including all the other ones from over there. We here had over 300-year wars with people who look like us. This was what I'm called the maroon mix Spaniards. Yeah. And these are some people who have dark skin and stringy hair and all of them things. We war with these people for a very long time. This is why I water they have to come through and I say, now for hold the ground and just a peace. Because something else will come, we have to change this whole environment. But our people now go have them information that through they are so conditioned with this Afrocentric mythology, thinking them come from Africa when most of them have never left this land. When them do go Africa is only an excursion or vacation. So them have no affinity for this location, which is their point of origin. Them are try gift it to some foreign ones. Yeah, man. So we just there to bring a clarity where it's up to the item to verify or validate. Now the word Nantucket really is a word meaning place of peace. So it's truly a tranquil place, but a foreign people have it and control it, and them impose their own system upon that location. However, the system that can't supersede the supreme law of the land, literally cannot. Yeah, man, and we demonstrate that. We literally demonstrate that. People like to use the word law loosely, but them not give the clarity or be specific for making know say it was only legal codes that was passed down from the Spanish. And the very same legal codes are where the British are used. Yeah, the very same legal code, the legal standards, alternatively used as rules and regulation. Now them call it law, but law are sitting where you have to agree with or agree to. There have to be some kind of contractual stipulation where the terms and conditions of those contractual agreements, those are what makes law. So the written law is what I'm expressing on the Bill of Rights on the mainland. The written law is what is expressed in what is called Chapter 3 of the Jamaica Constitution, the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom. We are talking about written express law. There is no assumption or presumption here. And all public entities out there, these public agents or public authority, and subscribe them their own oath of allegiance to uphold these very express written laws. It's just that the people now have clarity. The people are operate in what I'm called the perspective of the generality. So they are being administered in an aggregate form as a group. Yeah. So when you as the individual step forward and know, say, you express yourself, then you have that absolute authority to exercise your fundamental rights and freedom. It's not a gift from any politician or any political construct or constitution. These instruments secure and guarantee your fundamental rights here on the islands, or when you're international, it's called civil liberties. It's the very same thing, your fundamental rights and freedom. Yeah, man, it was enshrined in the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, 1948 Charter, that, the island can do their own research. So when we're up on this level as West Indian, as Amerindian, as Mohawk Indian, then in an international capacity now, no more local or domesticated, that's a area or capacity. You step it up. International laws apply, and it applies to the legal entities. So their society is in fact a legal society. So this is just specificity. Everybody know all of these things that we are shared. We just reiterate these things for clarity. Yeah, man. We are already late. That's why we are the back of the line, years late. However, it's better to be late than never showing up at all. This is why we have to say, or we have to choose to apply ourselves to get the clarity. Yeah, man. And again, the great law of peace of the ancient Indian, that's a constitution. And through it, I deal with peace. It's ones and ones can adapt it naturally and, fit in. You don't need no Babylonian permission for these things. In fact, these things were before the Babylonian came here. And this kind of great law of peace was the precursor for the United States Constitution. So all of them information here are not new. We just reiterate these things to bring clarity. So when we are express ourselves in our sovereign state capacity as being free, then the narrative is here. Yeah, at least to give the item, something to look at, put it that way. And we touch on the word American, because everybody want to be American. When them foreign, from some foreign land, them come from Germany, speaking German, them coming on my land, where we are American, we speak American English, because English are our thing. But the Sodomitic Babylonian, where you serve everything, and just come here and claim everything as theirs, and then most of the ones them where they were fall asleep, some of them still, sleepwalking. That's gifting everything where I and I people possess originally. Them just are gifted to foreigners. Some of them for profit and gain. Some of them are just their naivety. So this is why we are here to bring at least an alternative side of the story. Not just their history. Yeah, we bring our side of the story. Yeah, man, we create and generate our own narrative, you know. So then can write us out of history and say, hey, the Arawak people, what they call Arawak, is extinct. And then them show you some foreign bong belly, stringy hair, you know, people and say, here they are, they're now extinct, but all of that is on paper. Fallacy. Yeah, man. Fallacy. Anyway, the item can replay the tape, catch the information, and, you know, apply it accordingly. But we just catalog what we are doing and just take with time. I think one of them evening, yeah, we're going to touch upon that information there we break down the dismissal, what it really means, and talk about, you know, when I get a case dismissed with prejudice and without prejudice and the distinction and, you know, probably, well, you know, Joel Jog what we really want to express himself. So hopefully he may have a chance to step forward and we can, you know, chop it up freely. Yeah, man. There's not like the first hand testimony. Yeah, hearsay not really work. So, you know, and then when you have the documentation as evidence to validate what you're saying, then that gives credibility. Yeah, you know, we get no fanfare or no highlight per se, again, majority is asleep. Really. Yeah, man. Majority literally fast asleep. So we now go expect no fanfare. We just like to know, so true. I stand up tonight, right? Yeah, organically. True. Complete gratitude out there. Again, salute Odian Williams passing through. Salute warrior. We say the brave may fall but never yield. We say bold and brave. We say firm and strong. We say credibility. We say validity. We say truth. Yeah, just like how we say sovereignty. Yeah, man. Freedom, freedom in, yeah. Freedom in. May the Most High guide and protect the item out there continually. Yeah, man. And perpetually. Salute. Free people. Salute.